Is yours? This here? Oh, wow. No, he's here for the public hearing on this. There's guys, he goes back to public hearings for planning commission. Yes. David Barnes.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. All three commissioners are present. It was properly posted on March 3rd, and Commissioner Calvi will lead us in our prayer. Or Mr. Barnes.
That's Mr. Barnes to help us here.
You would stand and join me in prayer. Father, we're thankful for this day and again for the opportunity to serve Lord, we're thankful for the opportunities and challenges the day will bring. And we're thankful for the changing of seasons, a reminder of your constant presence, Lord, and your sustaining control. Lord, we're reminded that all authority is established by you, and we ask that you would please give wisdom to the decision makers today. We ask for your peace in these proceedings. Lord, that professional, personal restraint and the absence of pride, arrogance, and vulgarity would permeate this meeting. We love you, Father, and we praise you and thank you again for these opportunities. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Is there approval of the minutes for February 22nd?
Am I in the meeting? Okay. I'll move approval of our minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The recurring items are claims.
I'll move approval of our claims.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any change to the blanket? Nope. Okay.
I'll move approval of the blanket.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any individual consideration on the consent docket? If not, is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the consent docket.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honoring Mrs. O'Connor.
Good morning. So today we are honoring Kathy O'Connor, who is retiring from her position at the Alliance for Economic Development. And I have a resolution here to read for her. Kathy, would you like to come up? So whereas Kathy O'Connor became the first female finance director of Oklahoma City in 1989 at age 29. Whereas Kathy O'Connor served as the manager of the Oklahoma City Fire Department during the response to the 1995 Murrah building bombing. And whereas Kathy O'Connor served as Oklahoma City's assistant manager for 10 years. Whereas Kathy O'Connor helped develop and implement TIF 8, which funded over $100 million of public improvements. Whereas Kathy O'Connor was selected as the 2009 Journal Record Woman of the Year. And whereas Kathy O'Connor was the founding president of the Alliance for Economic Development. Whereas Kathy O'Connor has served as the executive director of the Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority since 2011. Whereas Kathy O'Connor spearheaded the administration of tens of millions of dollars of COVID relief to small businesses in record time. And whereas Kathy O'Connor was awarded the Downtown Oklahoma City DNA McGee Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Oklahoma County hereby recognizes and thanks Kathy O'Connor for over 30 years of dedicated public service to Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you all. What a nice way to start a Monday morning. I really want to thank all of you for your dedication and service to Oklahoma County and for the opportunity to work with each of you over the past 11 or so years since I've been with the Alliance. As you know, the Alliance contracts with the Oklahoma Industries Authority, which is an Oklahoma County beneficiary trust, to undertake economic development projects, and most importantly, projects around Tinker Air Force Base. And I really would like to thank you all for your support and dedication and service to the Air Force and the Air Force Base as we protect it from BRAC and help it expand and attract new missions and new jobs to Oklahoma County. I also really want to thank you for the opportunity to work on the small business programs last year as a response to the COVID pandemic. I do think we moved at record speed and got about $19 million out the door pretty darn quickly to businesses and small businesses in Oklahoma County. And I really don't think that would have been possible without your support and without your help. So again, thank you all very much. I'm very honored by this proclamation and the recognition. It's been a wonderful career. I really couldn't have asked for anything better, and I look forward to seeing you. I'll be around. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Is there a
And-
motion?
I do want to make one comment. She mentioned the small business grants and the nonprofit grants that we were able to do in 2020 with our CARES money, and that benefited over 300 small businesses and nonprofits within Oklahoma County. So Forest Park, Midwest City, Del City, all of those communities. So we appreciated your swift response to that and helping us with that. So thank you, Kathy. I will move the item.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your service, Kathy. Appreciate you. Okay, contract, District 1.
We have approved a contract with MGT for the last couple of years to provide an accurate daily rate at our juvenile detention center. And so I just wanted to bring this forward again for this fiscal year to do an updated report of our what the average daily rate is at our detention center.
Any questions?
I'll move the item.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
18 is annual cookout resuming. We had to be off for a couple of years due to the pandemic. So this will be our open house for District 2 and invite everyone out on May 28th. I'll move the item.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jeffrey Kyle Parker wishes to be appointed to the Oklahoma County Free Fair Board Association. And this was the opening for District 2, so unless there's a question, I will move it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
County Clerk. Just, I know these are probably routine, but
Yeah, these two items are just standard abstractor bonds received by this board.
okay.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same for 21.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did we resolve the issue with the DA to your
I think
satisfaction?
so.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this agreement?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Barnes.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a additional extension to the burn ban that is currently in place countywide for Oklahoma County. Current ban goes through tomorrow. This will pick up on the 9th and go for another 14 days, as we've seen in the past. It can be rescinded again by a vote of this board if you so choose to do so, or at the end of that period continue. I do have a consensus of the fire chiefs in Oklahoma County and all the required documentation, and my recommendation will be for passage of this burn ban.
And just to reiterate from last time, if somebody has a pressing need and want to contact their local fire chief, that's something that can be considered for waiver.
Absolutely. And I noticed this past week too is kind of an interesting thing I hadn't considered. When we're put under an ozone alert, that also bans all burning in whatever counties are involved in that. So that could be another factor, along with localized burn permit process and several other things that hopefully all combine to mitigate the continuing growth of this high fire danger time that we're in until we green up and get some moisture.
And for the invariable phone calls we're going to get this afternoon if we pass this, but it rained yesterday.
Yes, sir.
It didn't rain enough,
No, sir.
correct?
Not at all, particularly in our area. Some estimates that I've seen, radar estimates, which obviously can vary, maybe a couple, 3/10 of an inch in some areas. And that moisture with the sun out and the wind blowing, the surface moisture, the fuel moisture will be gone in just a matter of a couple of hours. The ground may appear a little bit damp, but as I've said on countless occasions, that's just enough to get your brush bumper stuck. It's not enough to do anything for
Right.
fire suppression.
Okay.
Do you know how many inches of moisture it would take to make us not as much of a danger?
Well, it's all based upon the drought severity, and the drought monitoring is done by a lot of different entities with input, National Weather Service and the Drought Monitoring Service and those type things. So it's really going to be an extended issue in order to get ground moisture up and to move us into another area. Preferably, we would see a half an inch. multiple times with a 2-3 day spread in between them, so it has time to soak and those kinds of things. If we just got 4 inches of rain in one shot, that's going to be very harmful. So it needs to spread out. And of course, we're coming into spring season and the weather patterns are changing, so we are going to see increased moisture. Although that's not a long-term prediction and humidities are still a challenge. So I can't give you a specific number, Commissioner, but what we're hoping for is I would love to see half-inch shots about every 3 days. And that would bring us, in scope-wise, it would bring the whole situation up in greater resolution. But it's just part of the season.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy, walk us through item 24, please.
Item 24 is a public hearing for you to consider an abandonment of 50th Street, which is a section line road. It's just west of the 50 Penn Square Place Bank, south of Northwest Highway. Certified notices were sent to all the surrounding property owners, and notice was published in the Journal Record 3 consecutive weeks. So today is for you to open a public hearing to hear those maybe for or against this proposal. 50th Street will be relocated to the south of where it is now, so there will be a replacement road. It'll line up better with the driveways that are already there for the Penn Square location. Traffic could be improved with this plan, and then the developer will put in some new businesses, and I think they're here to speak about that.
Is it proper to open the hearing before they speak?
I think, yeah.
Okay, is there a motion for that?
I'll move we open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Good morning, David BOCC, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. My client started acquiring portions of this dating back to about 2015, 2016. There's been significant efforts before Oklahoma City from both a zoning standpoint and a closure standpoint of various streets. The image you see before you is dated. If you've driven by there anytime recently, you know that the entirety of the site is now clear and ready to be developed. What I've handed out is some images of what has been approved by Oklahoma City. One of the challenges of this site is the location of 50th Street. 50th Street, if you've ever driven down it, dies at an unfortunate position because it dies into Penn where there is a median. So there is no northbound access from Penn. So what travelers do is inevitably take a right to go south and then make an illegal U-turn in the middle of Pennsylvania, creating a traffic hazard. So what we're seeking to do is have you abandon 50th and then rededicate a new 50th. And the new 50th would be slightly south of where current 50th is, but with the benefit of ending at what is already a fully signalized intersection. So 50th is going to stop at the location that feels like the natural spot for a street to stop. And now 50th travelers will have full access northbound and southbound with signalized protected movements. So we've worked with the city of Oklahoma City. We've worked with ODOT. I want to thank Mr. Trumbo. We've had many meetings with him, and traffic studies were produced. We think what we're doing is going to create not only a great economic engine for Oklahoma City, but also fix an existing traffic problem that's been there for quite some time. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
been an exciting project to watch.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate, it's not my district, of course, but I think it's going to be a fabulous asset to our community.
And I just want to confirm that the existing 50th Street, we're moving 50th to the south. The existing 50th Street will not be a street at all.
That's correct.
Okay.
If you look at this, so where 50th is now is right here.
Okay.
This is the multifamily piece. These are retail buildings, and this is the hotel. So the hotel proposed that you see in this image is right where 50th is now.
Okay.
And we'll make sure there's proper coordination with county engineer, city engineer as we're moving through the construction phase of this.
Okay, we have citizens signed up to speak under public comments, but I don't know if any of them intended to speak on this issue or just under public comments. If not, are there any? Mr. Falk? Sure. He might point out where 50th used to be or would used to be.
Yes, there's already only single
Okay, are there others here wishing to speak on this item?
Mr. Box, did you receive any, in any of your presentations to council, did you receive any sort of citizens coming to push back against it or not? I'm just curious if.
Yeah, a good question. So the answer is no. One of the unique features about this, because almost all of the land was previously developed residentially, there were old covenants that existed on these that required my client to have communication for years with the neighbors to get them to sign off on removing the covenant that prohibits any commercial development. So the citizens have had a kind of a unique opportunity in a development to have ongoing communication for the last 6 or 7 years. So they are fully apprised of what's going on and absolutely no concern.
All right, if there's no others to speak, if you want to close the public hearing,
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Now,
A resolution that you need to pass if you're in favor of this.
that would be item 25.
It's item 24 still.
Oh, it is. Okay, you're right. Okay, I apologize. So back on 24, please. There we go. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So Stacy, this resolution basically says that we're giving him the approval to move 50th Street to a different location or to
Yes.
vacate the current 50th Street.
Abandon the current
Okay.
and build a new one to the side.
Okay. I will move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Okay, now Stacy, item 25.
Item 25 concerns your county bridges. I think we have 108 of them around the county. We inspect them on a 2-year cycle. And there's a report of conference required from ODOT that you review these bridges. You don't have to review all 108. The superintendents and I have already done that. But I'm going to give you a sampling of maybe 2 bridges in each one of your districts to see what's out there. This is a bridge in the Jones area, District 1. And what you see there is the approach slabs are undermined and pulling away from the back wall of the bridge. That can easily be fixed with some flowable fill, and your superintendents are aware of that. But that's pretty common on several of our bridges. That is a bridge in the still near in the Jones area. What you'll see there is the beam ends are spalling. The steel's been exposed. It's corroding. The pre-stressing will relax if we don't get that fixed and take the tensile strength of that beam away. Nothing to be concerned about in the short term, but we do need to repair that in the short term so it doesn't accelerate the deterioration. This is that same bridge near Jones where you've got the undermining underneath the abutments that needs to be refilled. In District 2, this is a bridge near the Hera area. And you'll see the same thing with the beam ends, spalling of the concrete, erosion of the steel, potential relaxing of the steel. That same bridge has a lot of problems in the deck. You can see it's been patched 2 or 3 times in the same location. There's patches all over that deck. This bridge is actually under design, so we might be able to get it replaced in a few years. That's the same bridge in the Hera area. That's a pretty bad crack on the pier cap. That's going to have to be fixed immediately, even though we got this bridge set for replacement. That needs to be done this year. This is District 3 in the Deer Creek area. That's the underneath side of a deck. What you'll see is the icicles hanging down from the bottom side of that deck. So that deck's more like a sponge than a concrete road. And we're going to put that on a 6-month cycle because we're going to have to watch that pretty close. This bridge is actually on our 2023 replacement schedule. So we're going to be able to replace it just in time. This is the same bridge. You got a crack beam there, and we've already repaired that crack beam, and it'll be fine for a few years until we get this bridge replaced. This is a bridge in the Arcadia area that we actually inherited from Edmond. ODOT switches the bridge inventory around every 10 years. Seems like we picked up 2 from Choctaw that we didn't used to have. We picked this one up from Edmond that we didn't used to have. But that's actually a hole in the beam of the bridge, and we're going to have to get a plate welded onto that. You see a lot of corrosion. We're going to have to get that cleaned off and painted for that bridge to have any extended life to it. We don't even have this one under design, so this one maybe concerns me the most of all of them. This is the same bridge. This is the footing and the columns. You can start to see the deterioration of the concrete moving away from the steel. That's basically everything that we found on all bridges that's out there. It may look bad to you in these pictures, but I can tell you that overall, Oklahoma County is in pretty good shape with its bridges compared to the state. The state is one of the worst in the nation, but we're one of the best in the state, so that's good. I didn't show you the pictures of the 80 bridges that really don't have any problem to them. So the thing with bridges is you're never done. Mother Nature and traffic will continue to deteriorate those every year. So you take a step forward and 2 steps back. You've always got to fund these programs. You've always got to stay on top of it. We're doing that, and your bridges are overall in pretty good shape, but this is the worst of what's out there. So that kind of includes your report of the conference, and we'll have to get this information into ODOT.
And Stacy, I see attached is just the list of bridges that they inspected. Did they provide you a report that explains everything you just said?
Yes,
Okay.
we have a full report. Your
Okay.
superintendents have it now
Okay.
as well. They've been through every single bridge.
Okay. And is that report made public?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
public report.
Okay.
We'll probably have it up on our website within a month or so.
Okay.
I recently had the occasion to be with some commissioners from across the state, and this was being discussed, and they talked about what an enviable position we were in. And I said, due to, in large part, our engineer who's really taken this. I think it's a benefit of your longtime service to the county. You've been able to show continuity and help us get to a place where we are now. Because when I worked for the commissioners years ago, this wasn't where we were. So thank you. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move to, is it receive? I'll move to receive.
No, you have to approve the report.
Okay. I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Monroe.
Good morning. Item 26 is a discussion about our ongoing disinfecting crew. Over the past year, as a response to COVID, we employed initially 24 people. That has been reduced to date to 3 people at a cost of $6,000 per month. I've been asked, should we continue? I can't answer that, or should we not? That's a decision I think that you need to make.
Well, we're out of money for this. The funding source has gone away. So this is just straight to the bone. And I feel like we've gotten out of the immediate need of this, and we've gotten most of the public more conscientious of the things they could do, including that we still have our sanitation stations in various parts of the buildings where they can get some Perel or whatever to help clean their hands. So I personally think this has probably come to an end in terms of the way I feel about it, but you have either one of you anything?
Have any judges, because I know initially this was very important to many of our judges and folks over in the courthouse. Have they said anything about this?
Not recently, but I think if you talk to people on the campus, you'll get a mixed signal. There are those that are in favor of keeping the crew and like and value what they do, and then others don't see the benefit.
And when that did come up before, and this is a dated conversation, admittedly, I asked if the court fund would like to pick up part of the tab, and it's like, well, it's not worth that much. But they appreciated it. We've all appreciated it. I mean, it's probably helped our sinuses and everything else just for being an extra clean building, but it's just expensive. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move that we discontinue our contract for cleaning services.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Keith.
Okay, Eric, are you handling item 27?
Good morning. This is a rezoning item that was in front of the Planning Commission last month. It's here for your approval or review today. This is just kind of a step back picture of the particular area that we're discussing. We're at Waterloo and Coltrane. That's the intersection there, kind of in the middle of the screen. The area that they want to rezone, if you will, I'll try to point it out here. That's just a quick picture of the area that they're wanting to rezone there. Essentially what they're wanting to do is to do duplexes. It's a residential community that they want to do duplexes. This is a first for the county. The only place in the unincorporated area of the county that has duplexes or quadplexes is in the southeast part of the county, and it's a very small development that does, I think it's like 5 acres and it's one quadplex. So this is something definitely different. But back to the picture here, originally it was zoned as a PUD for commercial and industrial development. And essentially it was that piece of property, but also more that there's a, just north of it there. So I just kind of want to get you an idea that there's a lot of commercial development that's there. If you go north into Waterloo, north of Waterloo, you're in the Logan County. Logan County, as you can see there, there's an asphalt plant. There's a lot of commercial activity that's there. As you go north and east, there's a lot of mobile homes, manufactured homes. So I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of the area as a whole. That's around. There's kind of 3 jurisdictions that are involved in this area. It's Oklahoma County on this piece of property itself. But if you go a half mile to the west, you get into the jurisdiction of Edmond. Obviously, if you're in north, you're in Logan County. So it's kind of a complicated area in that regard. This is the property itself that they want to develop. Like I said, it's essentially 25 lots of duplexes. So you would have a total of 50 units. Each lot is about a half acre. Like I said, as you go to the north, you can see the Family Dollar there, but the property that's to the north there is part of the original PUD that is part of commercial and industrial activity that will still remain. This is the remainder of that they're wanting to rezone to a different PUD that allows for the duplexes. So that's all the information that I had, unless you had any particular questions. Mr. Spencer with Crafton and Tall is here if you have any more specific questions for him.
Just a couple. One, can you tell us what the vote was at the Planning Commission, and were there any objecting to it?
There was one objection in District 3. Mr. Talbot was the only one that objected to it, but everyone else voted for it. There was 2 individuals that were there at the meeting to protest. If you go back to the west in Edmond, there's a neighborhood there called Edinburgh Point. There was a couple gentlemen that were from that neighborhood that had some concerns with septic systems, how that was going to be handled. Just from my understanding, those are going to be handled by either having each unit would have its own system, or they would have a combined unit that they would maintain together.
Okay.
Will they be accessing their water from Oklahoma City, Deer Creek?
So the water in this particular case is from Logan County. They have
Okay.
a rural water district that will help this development in this case. That water district serves that Family Dollar that's on the corner there now. So they're just bringing that just further to the south in this case.
Can you tell us a little bit about prior attempts to develop this area?
So like I said, this was originally a commercial industrial type of PUD that was done 5 or 6 years ago. It's been sitting out there. There's really been no activity. The Dollar General that you see there was out there before that particular rezoning took place. If you go back to the west, just off of this picture, you can kind of see it better in this picture. There was a development that was there. It was done through a special use permit that was done back in the 80s. And so they moved forward with that special use permit, but during that time, the people to the west had some concern and actually went to court. So that development has sat vacant. Essentially, the court determined that that special use permit was invalid. And so it sits as what we call R2 rural residential today. So if you're wanting to do something higher density as far as, let's say, a 1 acre or a half acre development, residential, you would have to bring that before the planning commission to have it rezoned before you could do anything. Now you could do a 2 acre lot residential development there today. You would have to go through the platting process, but those are their options if they wanted to develop that piece of property that you see to the west there. Everything that you see to the south, there's essentially a half a mile that is unincorporated Oklahoma County. You'll see the development to the south, 1 acre lots, that's Provence. There's a big tract there that is R2. And then as you continue south here in the city of Edmond, and then as you go back to the east there, that is unincorporated Oklahoma County. And I would say for the most part, that's majority residential by far, but you do have on the corners itself, there's some commercial. There is a business park there to the east called Prosper Business Park, commercial industrial as well.
I would prefer to wait on voting on this because there's a couple people I need to talk to about it. So I would move that we defer this to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Eric, can you tell us what school district these homes would go to?
It's Edmond.
Okay.
The gentleman that's here, do you have anything you want to say since you come down? Thank you for your time. Sorry it's taken us a while to get to your item.
Absolutely. Jason Spencer with Craft and Toll Associates here on behalf of the applicant. Just to touch on a little bit of what Eric said, you see the industrial and commercial uses that are there to the north. We think that this duplex development would provide kind of a transition from that would, as you push to the west and south into some of the larger acre residential lots. And so we understand that if you've got some questions that you need to talk about, and we're willing to take a continuance. Be happy to answer any questions that you guys have today, though.
Okay, well, I appreciate your understanding. We typically curtsy to the member who represents that area, so.
Sure. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the Accenture contract that's been batted back and forth for different clarity. Is there any questions that either of you have? I know your members have been involved in the policy and governance committees extensively, as this has been discussed exhaustively for weeks now.
There are 2 contracts on here, so I want to make sure that we understand and the public understands the difference between the 2 that are proposed. Can someone from policy and governance maybe come for the public's benefit, help us understand, either Joe or Michael? Thank you.
Good morning, commissioners. Your first agenda item is going to show that it'll cover the March, April, May, June allotments and an additional $75,000 for a potential report to help us move forward. And then the second item is just going to cover those 4 months.
So item 28 includes payment for the work that they did, the work that they have already done, where we were not under contract.
Well, with them being awarded, they were asked to do a report that will help us move in a direction for our potential future election.
And I think it's my understanding that, was it in our contract, or was it in the RFP that work could not be done before we were under contract? Is that correct?
I'd have to confer with the purchasing director, but
Chantel, do you have a comment?
There is language in our RFP and also the award documents that a purchase order must be issued prior to any performance of work.
Okay. So item 29 has the same amount for March, April, May, but it just removes payment for the work that was done before this contract would come into place. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a better approach to, whether that's increasing the amount for these 3 months or whatever, to approach it, not tell people you can do work for us, expecting to be reimbursed and not do so. I do appreciate, both approaches. But I think we should go with the former one.
Yeah, and they operated in good faith. They were discussing stuff, understanding that we were under the crunch for time, and I appreciated their step forward in that also. You have any other questions?
Chantel, I know you worked quite a bit on this in partnership with policy and governance. Is there any other comments or concerns you want to add? And I know you spent a lot of time on the phone with Accenture and with their legal department, so I didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to add.
I did my best to notify everyone as soon as I could. Accenture actually reached out to me late Friday afternoon with some changes to the agreement, some rewording, and I wanted to at least make sure you're aware of those things if you wanted to consider that while looking at these contract documents. I have those for you. It's in the scope of work and how it's worded. If you would like to take a look.
I'm going to guess the DA hasn't seen that.
No, no one has seen these proposed changes.
Well, and I don't think the DA's office would sign either contract item 28 or 29. Is that correct?
I don't have approval from the DA's office yet.
Okay.
On these items, no.
Is the DA's office willing to say why? Who's here?
Gretchen, Aaron, both here. I think Gretchen's helped us on this or not.
Yes, there are definitely concerns that I have. Three big ones, then there's some minor ones, but the flat rate provision, I don't think it's going to comport with the federal regulations. I don't think it'll survive an audit. There's no hourly rate. There's no minimum amount of work, maximum amount of work. So essentially, you don't know what you're paying for every month, except that it's set out, I think, at $100,000 a month. They've limited their liability basically to zero and in two parts. And then there's some little minor things for federal rules.
So you're not aware that, I know there are other counties and cities that are hiring firms like Accenture to help them do this type of work. Are you aware of any other county or city that is doing the flat fee? Okay. Okay.
Do you have thoughts?
Well, I mean, I know that they do this kind of work not only here in the state, but all over the country. And so I feel comfortable going forward with the first item.
With their changes?
Chantel, can you briefly describe those changes?
Absolutely. In the scope of work, in the first paragraph, it's a description. I'm sorry, in 2.1 of the scope of work, there is a final sentence that they wanted to add a little bit of clarification to. Their changes read, these guidelines provide that such projects and/or programs should advance one or more of the following. They added the terms guidelines provide that such and advance one or more of the following. So I believe it may just add a little more verbiage to it. I don't think it changes the overall outcome of the meaning of the sentence. The next change they proposed is in section 2.2 of the same, I'm sorry, if you need a page number, I can give that to you. In the scope of work, it reads, in order to accomplish the primary scope of work identified in paragraph 2.1 above, then they added, Accenture will perform various activities based on the county's priorities. Such activities will entail some or all of the following. Underneath that provision is listed all the tasks that were included in the RFP. So those are the added wording that they wanted to add to the scope of work. Okay. That's what I received Friday evening.
I think those are pretty minimal. Yep.
So the changes they made in 2.2 was to add language that we had in our RFP. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, it was just the sentence preceding.
Oh, okay.
We added all of the tasks in the RFP, and they wanted to clarify the sentence preceding that.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have any other thoughts?
I think my preference is to approve item 29, just because it was pretty clearly stated in our RFP that the contractor could not do work until we issued until we issued a purchase order and we're under contract. I know that they did perform work, and we all voted on that work, but it was pretty clear in the RFP that no work should be performed outside of the contract. So I think my preference is item 29. And I think I have the same concerns as Gretchen, that I would prefer, where did Gretchen go? Oh, I would prefer for them to invoice us for billable hours and do it that way rather than a flat fee. Because like you said, it's a flat fee. Can you itemize out what I'm getting for that flat fee? And we don't see that in here. So that's a concern of mine, but I do know that we need to get moving on this and we need to start working with them. So I'm happy that we're at least approving a contract today, but I think my preference would be item 29. So.
You've spoken for.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I would, and I appreciate all the points that have been raised. I think the better course of action would go 29, but I agree that, I mean, reasonable people can disagree on.
Right.
Things like that.
Well, I mean, I never believed it would take this long to get this hashed out. So, you know, we were engaged in conversations with them, not believing that this would take this long to be resolved. And so I don't really, I think while they had a role to play in that, including these little changes on Friday, and that's kind of been part of the pattern, I nevertheless was asking them to please hear our urgency about this for a forthcoming number of decisions we need to make. In fact, in that same meeting I had with the other commissioners, I mean, they are spending or spent their money, you know, and we're late behind in terms of getting some things off the ground. So we've worked hard to make sure we're doing it within the parameters, and that's what we hired them or asked them to come on board to help us determine. So I feel like they've acted in bad faith by having sent us some bills. So I'd prefer to pay them, but that's me.
I'll go ahead and move item 28.
Okay. You'd rather not?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do you care to vote no?
I'll vote no.
Okay. Is there a motion on item 29?
I'll move to strike.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I do want to thank, oh. Oh.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you to Policy and Governance and to Ms. Boso, who worked on this for many weeks and went back and forth. So we appreciate your work on that.
All right, purchasing.
Item 30 is a request from the Facilities Department. We have had a contract for landscape maintenance services over the last, over a year that we've had this contract in place, and it was the first time that we've hired outside services to come in for landscape. It's been quite a process to learn what the county's processes and policies and procedures are as it relates to county maintenance of our properties, not just a downtown complex, but others. And so with regards to that and working with the contractor and seeing the difference in what our expectations are versus the services that we actually bid out for, I think that we can do a better job. And so their recommendation from the department is asking the board to consider terminating this contract early before it expires. I would like to work with the department to revamp this bid to better meet and communicate what our expectations are so we can go back out to bid. And that's what this item serves.
And can you remind us the name of the company that we were contracting with?
Yes, currently we're contracted with Terrascapes.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion to terminate?
I'll move to terminate the contract.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Social Services. Miss Christie.
Good morning.
Morning.
This item relates to our space that we have at Westtown. We are requesting that we terminate that agreement. It's a non-financial agreement. We set up in that location in 2016, and it was very much needed at that time. But it's evolved to the point where the needs of the population has not at all decreased, but the need for this service at that location has decreased to the point where it's just a responsible decision to pull out of there and let that space be used for other services where the need is continuing to increase. So it's an agreement that we've just held year over year, and so we're just asking to go ahead and terminate. It's mutually agreed upon between us and Homeless Alliance that this is a good time to do that. So,
And Dan's okay with this?
yeah, Dan's
Okay.
fine with it.
Is there a motion to terminate?
I want to clarify that and make sure folks understand that the reason that this free pharmacy is no longer needed in this location is because most of the folks who were accessing this free pharmacy are now eligible for Medicaid.
Correct, yes. And it's just like, yeah, let's make that clear. We're not pulling a service out from people who are using it. They have, most of that population is switching over or has already switched over. So that particular need is being covered elsewhere. So we're not pulling a service out from under people.
Okay.
But again, the overall needs of the population, just I want to recognize, continue to increase. It's just this piece of it.
Okay. And so if we terminate this agreement and move out, Dan and his team will be able to use that space for something they might really need right now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will move to terminate our MOA.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner comments, District 1.
Thank you.
I don't think I have any comments.
3. I have none either. Any new business? And I think before we go into executive session, we have 4 citizens to speak. Mr. Cummings.
Good morning, all. I thought this was going to be a pretty innocuous meeting until I heard the contract you just approved. I've been in business 40 years. Took 8 months to decide on the contract. The DA wouldn't sign off. You didn't like the flat rate, and changes were made on Friday night on a business deal. And then it was okay. Do any of you have a relationship, a personal relationship with Accenture? Do any of you? Because that's the only thing that can make sense for this to have gone through. The only thing. I am here today to talk about this. 3 people died. No, we had 3 people that died. So we haven't really gotten anywhere on this. It's kind of everybody's gone black on the media. So I just want to make sure it's not a forgotten item that the head of the jail and the PR rep at the jail joked about getting that much money for COVID and only 3 people died, and that they might get another 150 million more. A couple more items here. The poll done by the city council on the jail trust only showed a 30% approval rating. I assume you all are familiar with that. And I'm wondering if you knew that, and he's active on that, we're still basically kind of standing up for him for not doing anything. Just by our silence, we're standing up for it. I appreciate your strongly worded letter, but I also asked you as a newfound accidental constituent of yours to put a motion forward to remove the jail trust, and you did not do that. So I guess I need to ask my former person, Mr. Calvi, if he would mind putting that up for next time around. I do want some action to happen here. I'm not going to go away with this. I'm not going to let it just fly. I am suspicious that you all are afraid that these people are going to snitch on you, and that's why you haven't done anything. And I think that's a real worry, especially since there's a grand jury investigation. And if that's the concern, and that's why they haven't been disciplined for an obvious infraction, have not been disciplined, then you all are complicit.
Mr. Falk.
Chris Johnson will be reading a letter in just a few minutes that we sent to the county commissioners late last night and to the jail trust early this morning. It is signed by a coalition of community leaders, including the NAACP and several other organizations, and including several family members of the last person who died in that jail. I'm going to echo what Sean Cummings said. I can't believe the silence and the lack of action on something so egregious as what Greg Williams and Mark Opkrand said in that tape. It's been 1 month. Now, were that the only thing they had ever done, we would still expect them to be at least censured in some way. But since then, in the last month, there have been 2 more deaths. 3 if you count the one that they died while they were trying to book them a couple of days ago. We have had 4 deaths this year. We had 16 last year. We're on track for 24 this year. This is 40% of our budget. And yet we cannot keep detainees safe there. We are the deadliest jail in America. In America. So Williams' comments are not just a one-off slip of the tongue, he happened to be speaking when the microphone was hot type comment. And in fact, I'd like to know what he said the other 23 plus hours of the day. We caught one 5-minute tape, and in that 5-minute tape, he said things that are inexcusable and mocked death and made fun of death. We made international headlines. We were in the news across the world on that, and yet nothing has happened. And what we want you to do on behalf of the coalition who has come together for this, and honestly, the hundreds or thousands of other citizens who would like to see something happen here, is to, first of all, ask for their resignation immediately. Secondly, if that is not forthcoming, direct your appointed members, and Kevin, since you appointed yourself and you automatically go to your text messages, I don't even want to know what you're looking at whenever people are talking, but you do not pay attention to us. Instead, you made excuses for Greg Williams by saying, and this is horrific, and I'm sad about this, that his mother died from COVID, and that somehow excused him to say COVID is our friend and COVID is the greatest thing that has ever happened to us. Instead, I find that to be even more horrendous. I had somebody earlier tell me, I can't imagine him trying to explain that to his family, that he made fun of COVID after the tragedy that happened in his own family. So we are asking you again today to direct your appointed members to bring to a vote the termination of the contracts for Greg Williams and for Mark Opgrand. Oklahoma County deserves better. This is not the Oklahoma standard. We do not talk like that. We do not mock death in our county or our state. And we absolutely do not allow the ongoing atrocities and inhumane conditions that have happened in that jail. He has been a failure. His term as jail administrator has been abysmal. It has been a failure. No one can say the worst of the worst of the worst is acceptable. Thank you.
Mr. Washington.
Greetings. This wonderful, lovely morning. You heard what this gentleman just said. And Miss Bloomberg, I have written a personal letter to you, ma'am, and I expect full cooperation from you, or it's certainly not going to be nice from this moment on. Now then, this letter in turn is written by me, March 7th, haven't been given to you yet. However, if you like a copy before I do, you can read right along with me. Not picking on you, ma'am, specifically, but simply because you're in my district, I am pointing my finger directly at you, but also pointing directly to these two gentlemen to my left. In reading then, dear Commissioner Bloomer, I have a matter of grave importance that I wish to address with you. Last month, CEO Greg Williams and his protege, Communications Director Mark Opgrand, were overheard praising a deadly pandemic. At one point, Mr. Williams could be heard saying, COVID is our friend. COVID is our friend. Wow, really? So that tells me, sir, you're not qualified to be handling and watching over people under your command then, because COVID is your friend, not them. Ooh, man, that makes you jingle, doesn't it? Now then, in one other segment of the recording, these two gentlemen are heard saying, what a wonderful thing, because now that COVID is here, we get funding for plumbing and HVAC infrastructure, in addition to possibly getting $150 million more from the American Rescue Plan Act to the jail. I'll say to you, I'm not going to hold you much longer, but let me say without question, these disrespectful, senseless, crude, and heartless men utter these words when families are grieving and hurting tremendously over the loss of loved ones who died because of COVID, yet he... Really? Am I upset? I think my voice tells that off, doesn't it? Now then. Yes, they have lost their loved ones, and not only COVID, but the Delta variant and Omicron. I'm getting ready to close. But listen carefully. The pandemic has killed millions of people worldwide. In Oklahoma alone, we've had more than 14,000 people to perish from COVID. But yet he's this man's friend. Really? Moreover, countless others are still hospitalized, fighting for their lives, Many have lost their jobs, houses, our economy, social and economic and religious institutions have all been negatively impacted by this deadly weapon of mass destruction. Is this man's friend? Now then, that's right, I said weapons of mass destruction is this man's friend. In closing, what Greg Williams and Mark Opgran did was totally inexcusable. Oklahomans deserve more and better leadership and qualified representation from government officials, whether they're elected or appointed to serve. While you have issued a sharp rebuke, Ms. Bloomer, of these public servants, your criticism didn't go quite far enough as far as the Oklahoma Coalition is concerned. The Oklahoma Coalition Against People Abuse is therefore urging you to make a request to the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority that they immediately fire Mr. Upbrand and Mr. Williams. The citizens of Oklahoma deserve swift and appropriate action being taken. Last word. I want all of y'all to follow me closely here. So we got an election coming. County commissioners are elected to their seats by a vote of the people. We will exercise that option during the upcoming election. We need a commissioner who has the guts, determination, and the willpower to fight against tyranny and oppression, against a bureaucracy that's designed to mastermind the thoughts and desires of the citizens of Oklahoma. We need one to know that accountability is essential to running an appropriate government. Insensitive and strong offensive words as these, they're more to the disadvantage of what is more thought about in a more modern day notion and society that's designed for more respect and decency. Thank y'all very much. Let me say though, with the deaths of the inmates recently, but now watch. 1 second, so I'm getting ready to go, Ms. Mom. Thank you for your time. One last thing. Let us all be careful to realize and understand that this man said COVID is his friend. Thank you. Now we're going to get maybe 150 more million. What else, as this gentleman just stated, what else is he saying behind our backs? Is he saying, let's pick everybody up and put them on the roof and throw them off? Ma'am, this man needs to go. Bottom line, it slipped. You know, as they say, law of average, he had been saying all these things before, but it just happened to catch up with it. Thank y'all very much for your time, and I'll be back.
Mr. Johnson.
Good morning. I want to talk about the gravity of this just real quick, and then I'll read the letter. Okay, so since even goes back to the CARES Act money, there has been discussions, backroom deals where we have obtained through record requests how there was money laundering or attempted money laundering. Now, I want to talk about the gravity of the situation. They both discussed how using this has gotten money before and using this will get them money then. They admitted to racketeering. Okay? If you can, as Rico points out, if one person is convicted of a criminal conspiracy, every single person who knew about it, sat by and did nothing, can be tried and go to either a state or federal prison, depending on the severity of the case. Read up on Rico. It's a beautiful law. So that's what we're talking about here. If you don't have a sense of duty, if you just want to cover yourselves, think about this grand jury that's looking into you, because it's looking into every aspect. Now I'm going to read the letter. We, the undersigned, in light of continuing failure to provide the most basic constitutional rights to inmates at the Oklahoma County Jail, as well as the recent inexcusable remarks made by County Jail Administrator Greg Williams and Communications Director Mark Opgran, demand that both employees be terminated immediately. And in a voicemail released by NonDoc, February 8th, 2022, and distributed worldwide by major media outlets to include Yahoo and AP News, Williams and Opgran were caught making jokes about profiteering from a worldwide pandemic, with Williams saying COVID has been the greatest thing that's ever happened to us, and Opgran calling it a built-in excuse to keep people out. Both county employees reportedly said COVID is our friend while making cruel jokes about deaths at the jail and how they have received $10 million in CARES Act money and hope to bilk taxpayers an additional $150 million of ARPA funds. This type of behavior, which alone would result in any employees in the private sector being immediately fired, is indicative to the pattern of willful negligence and outright criminal behavior that has continued under the supervision of Williams during his entire tenure as jail administrator. There were 16 deaths in our county jail in 2021, making it the deadliest jail in America, and we are on track for 24 deaths in 2022. Since the jail trust hired Greg Williams as their jail administrator, there have been 3 Oklahoma Department of Health reports of serious noncompliance and continuing noncompliance. 3, 1 National Institute of Corrections, that's the DOJ, inspection of 70-page reporting listing of staffing and general prevailing cultural that leaves inmate safety and jail security in constant jeopardy. 1 report from the consultant David Parker citing a plethora of deficiencies, including bed bugs, horrible sanitation issues, and most importantly, poor training and supervision of employees. Furthermore, nearly a dozen guards have been criminally charged over the past 2 years. There are an ongoing grand jury and Department of Justice investigations into the ongoing unconstitutional conditions and negligent or criminal behavior at the jail. But by every metric, Williams has failed to perform his required duties as the jail administrator. After the firing of an employee following the 16th jail in 2021, Williams said staff must and will be held accountable for not following policies and procedures because of the unconstitutional conditions at the jail, the lack of professional training and supervision, and abusive behavior of employees under Williams' command. Another 4 detainees have died, or human beings, in 2022 alone. We believe that both Williams and Opgran, as administrative level employees, should be held at least to the same standard and have both been derelict in their duties. We call upon the county commissioners to publicly demand the immediate termination of both Greg Williams and Mr. Mark Opgran as county employees, and for the jail trust to take action to end the contracts of both Williams and Opgran, as both are unfit to serve. Thank you.
Any other citizens wishing to be heard? Is there a motion to recess into executive session?
I'll move we recess.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
As soon as Greg Williams is fired.
Okay, is there a motion to return to regular session?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Action on item 36 with Ms. Karen Kent.
I move on item 36 that we adjust Karen Kent's pay to $91,927.50 annually. This is a total of a 5% increase to her starting pay. And this will backdate to her beginning at her 90 days in this position.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 37.
I'll move we proceed as discussed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 38, we weren't able to deal with because council was not able to attend at the last minute.
So to strike.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And 39 is a duplicate.
Move to strike.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other citizens to be heard? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ready? Okay, we'll call the Public Buildings Authority together. All three trustees are present. It was properly posted on March 3rd. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of February 22nd?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the claims?
I'll move we approve our claims.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 3 is the carryover appropriations for PBA. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4 is a companion item from the BOCC about reducing the COVID disinfecting crew.
I move we cancel this contract.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And 3 new contracts for parking spaces.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any citizens for the PBA? Any board comments? Any new business? Hearing none for all 3 of the above, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.